Alright, so we're going to talk about finding area and perimeter of shapes. The perimeter of a shape is the distance around the shape. It is the sum of the lengths of all sides. The area of a shape is the amount of space inside a two-dimensional shape. To find the area of compound shapes, which are shapes put together, you would break up the compound shape into smaller pieces that you know the formulas for. So if you have a square and a triangle put together, you would find the area of the square and then find the area of the triangle, and then you would add those two areas together to find the total area for the shape. There are some basic formulas that we will go over. First up, we have the area of a rectangle. Okay, the area of a rectangle is just going to be the base times the height. So, base times height. Okay, we then have the area of a trapezoid. Which is also called a trapezium. And those look like this. Okay. The height is the distance from top to bottom. Here's the first base. This is the second base. So the formula for the area of a trapezoid is going to be 1/2 times the first base plus the second times the height. And then over here we're going to talk about the area of a kite or a big diamond. Okay. The formula for the area of a kite is 1/2 of A times B. Okay. A is the horizontal distance, and B is the vertical distance. Okay, so 1/2 of A times B. We do have two more shapes to look at. It's going to be a parallelogram and a triangle. So parallelogram is where the sides across from one another are parallel to each other. So these sides are parallel and these sides are parallel. It's different from a rectangle because a rectangle, all corners have perfect 90-degree angles. Here it's shifted a little bit. But the formula is still the same. It's the exact same as the formula for a rectangle. It's going to be base times height. And then you have the area of a triangle, which says the area is 1/2 of the base times the height. Let's go ahead and look at some examples. Okay, it says calculate the area of the shape. Well, first off, we need to figure out what shape it is. If I'm looking at this, I know that it's definitely not a rectangle, it's not a trapezoid, it's not a triangle, it's not a kite. It is a parallelogram though, because these two sides are parallel and these two sides are parallel. So this is a parallelogram. And the formula for that is area equals base times height. Well, the height is going to be 3 centimeters and the base is 5.4 centimeters. So area is going to equal 5.4 times 3. Okay, 5.4 times 3, we have 16.2. So area equals 16.2 centimeters squared. Anytime you're finding area, it's always going to be whatever unit of measure. So for example, both of these were centimeters. So it's always going to be the unit of measure squared for area. Let's take a look at problem number 2. Problem number 2 says calculate the area and the perimeter of the shape. So this one's a little different. We don't have just one shape, we have this big L going on. And I don't have a formula for the area of an L. But what I can do is break it into smaller pieces that I do have formulas for. So what I'm going to do is just cut this into 2 pieces. I'm going to draw a dotted line here. This creates 2 rectangles, 1 and 2. You can call them X or Y if you wanted to label them to make it easier. So if we wanted to find the area of this big L shape, it's going to be the area of the top part plus the area of that bottom piece. Okay, so we're going to find this area and then this area. Okay, first off, they're both rectangles, right? So I know that area is going to equal base times height for both of these because they're rectangles. I just have to figure out what the base and height are for this piece and this piece on their own. So let's start up here at this top part. The area of this rectangle, we have to find the base and we have to find the height. Well, let's look at this. To find, we'll call this the base. So this will be our B and this will be our H. To find the base, I know that the entire length of this is 10 centimeters. But I'm only looking for this piece. I know that the length of everything else besides this piece is 6. So if I take the 10 and subtract the 6, I get that this base is equal to 4 centimeters. Okay. And then the same thing with the height. I know that the height of the entire L is 9 centimeters. And that the length of everything but H, or the height of everything but H, is 2. So if I take the 9 and subtract the 2, I'm left with 7. So H is going to equal 7 centimeters. Okay. So the area for this part is going to be 4 times 7, which is 28 centimeters squared. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. The area of this top piece is 28. Okay, we still have to find the other half of this, which is the bottom part of the L, which is much easier in this case. The base is obviously going to be 10 centimeters. The height is going to be 2, equals 2. So I know that the area for this is going to be 10 times 2, which is 20 centimeters squared. So I can just plug that in right here. So the area of the L is equal to 28 plus 20, which is 48 centimeters squared. And that's going to be our answer for the area.